What's up, guys? I'm Nicholas. I'm the founder of automationforgrowth.com. I've been helping clients for the last 6 years with business automation, and this is one of the automations that I've noticed some of my clients sometimes need, which is like how to automate Outlook. They want to do things with Outlook, cleaning emails, or they want to send notifications somehow or something, right? And now with AI, they're also implementing some new things, right? Like they want to, I don't know, maybe scrap data from emails, fill forms with emails. So the idea with this video is that I want to explain the Outlook API. And also I think I will add an AI layer so we can do things with the API, right? So I think I will make it like let me just open this here so I can explain what I want to do here. So for this video, I want to have two things, right? So we will have a front end and we will have a backend, right? And in this backend, we will have the Outlook API, and then we will have an AI layer, right? In this case, what I'm thinking is that I will use OpenAI, right? I think in another video I will use Claude, but in this one I will use OpenAI. In the previous videos I was using OpenRouter. This one OpenRouter, but I think this one I will use OpenAI in this video, so to kind of like mix things. So this will be the backend, right? And in the front end we will have, I think I will just create like a chatbox like type of front end, like ChatGPT, right? Where you can just text something, right? Hi, whatever, and then it will do things to your email. So it will be like it will be a web app, right? So we will have this deployed somewhere, and then the idea is that you text the AI with something, and then it will use the API to kind of like make sense of your message and then do things in your Outlook using the API keys. You could think of it like having like a MCP type of thing here, but we kind of like creating our own MCP here, because usually this is what the OpenAI or Claude or all of those platforms do, like they kind of like create like these automations that you can do, and you need to just provide the API keys. So we're pretty much doing the same thing here, but it will be more like dynamic, and you will be able to do things like you understand the API. And the cool thing about this is like, just for this video, I'm going to, in this video, I'm only going to explain how to, I don't know, maybe we can just like, we could tell the API to like send emails, right? In this case, I will just automate it like that, just to keep it straightforward. So I will be like, okay, just send an email to that email, that's it, and then it will just go here and send the email. But you could extend this, to whatever you want, right? Because the only thing that you will need to change is like, once you create the scopes here in Outlook, like the API key, you will need to give more scopes, so more permissions to the token, so the token can do more things. In this case, again, I'm just going to explain how to send emails to keep it super simple and straightforward, but just be careful, because like the more permissions you give to this token, the more power it has, right? So you don't want to be like, you gotta be careful with that, right? If you're using the email for your company or something. But yeah, I think we can start with this. I will do this just to show you the stack that we will use for this video. We will use, for the front end, I think we will use React, all right? Of course, we will use Codex to do the stuff. I kind of like Codex. If you use Claude, it's the same thing. And then for the backend, we will use Python. And then what else? Yeah, we will have like a Flask app, and then it will be in a Docker, and then we will put this. The backend will be in Google Cloud. Why? Because I kind of like Google Cloud though. But like, it's kind of simple. and I already have some bash scripts for that. But I mean, if you like AWS, DigitalOcean, all that stuff, it's the same. It doesn't really matter. You only need to find a cloud that supports Dockers, and that's it. And then for the front end, I will use Firebase. Firebase. So for the ones who are not familiar with Firebase, pretty much Google Cloud, Firebase are the same thing. It's just that it's like what I've noticed is like you can manage things more easily from Firebase than like using Google Cloud, because it's kind of like more user friendly. But I mean, you can do both things here. It's just that I tend to I just call it like that, but it's the same thing, all right? And then, but you could also change, like, most people also use Vercel for this, which is also super popular, or any other front-end platform, whatever. Like, all of them are free. Like, Firebase is free, Vercel is free, so you can use. I just use Firebase because I'm already using Google Cloud, so whatever. But like, it's up to you, whatever you use here. So that's good. So let's get into it. All right, so we need to create a project as always. So let me, I already have like some folders here. So it's YouTube, I think it's called, yeah. And I think I only have, let me remove this. So it's from my previous video. All right, so I will create another one. And this one will be called Outlook. Then let's go to Outlook. And then here I will open Visual Code. Yeah, like that. Sweet. So we are here. Actually, let me move some files here. As always, I like using some predefined files that I tend to use, just to like give some indication to codecs, so we don't need to be doing everything from scratch. So it's always the same git ignore that I have here. Git ignore basically is like every time I push to GitHub, it will ignore these files. That's the logic here. Then agents, this is an MD that I have for this is an agents MD that I have for codecs. So basically you have this file in a project or whatever that you are kind of coding with codecs to give some rules, instructions to codecs. So I will put it it's always in the description of this code. You will find this file here, and you can use it. Basically it's just trying to keep everything organized. We don't want spaghetti code. We don't want files with thousands of functions. We want to keep everything organized and beautiful. I kind of like a nice code. And this is coming from my school. I used to study in this 42 school in Paris, so that's why I kind of like this style. And then this is just a bash script though. So again, I use this to like deploy to Google Cloud my things. You could technically use Codex or Cloud and ask Cloud or Google, or Codex like, just deploy this directly using calls and commands. But I tend to I like using this bash script, because if you can see here that it's deleting first all the containers, all the stuff, and then kind of creates another image and then push to Google Cloud. And I like that because sometimes when you're kind of like using Docker a lot, it starts creating a bunch of clutter and trash, and when you notice you have like a bunch of gigabytes of trash. So with this I kind of keep everything clean. And then we have this Docker, which is like a pretty simple Docker, basically just to give some instructions to codecs. I mean, just to give some guidance, so he doesn't need to like create everything from scratch. And then this main, which is also, again, you can see a main app, some cores for the front end, backend. And we only have a health checkpoint, a health check endpoint, which is basically once I deploy, I just want to quickly check if is it live or not. That's it. And yeah, Flask. So that is it for this. So let's start with the front end. I think we could just keep it like super straightforward. It will be like super simple. We don't want to complicate this. So let's see. All right, so before I get into coding, I wanted to show you this website. It's called Dribble, I think is what it's pronounced. And basically, here you can select styles for your front end. You know, like usually what I've noticed is like most people say like, hey, Codex doesn't do like good front end and stuff like that, and then Cloud is better. But I don't get it, you know, like why would you like ask the AI to like code design shit? Like why don't you just select one of the designs that you like and then he can literally replicate it. So that's what I do, you know. Basically I just come here and I just choose whatever I like and then I just put it there and I will like just replicate this and that's it. So for the front end I will put like something minimalistic, minimalist like that. I will just, let me see, something like super chill for the front end. Again, it would be just like a text box where I would just input something, but I just want to keep it nice. Maybe, I think I kind of I like this style though. It looks pretty nice. So what I do is, I mean, you could technically also use only web design here, but I mean, I think Codex is smart enough. He doesn't need to like, it doesn't need to be really just like I'll put this. Okay, so let's go to Codex and start coding, right? Okay, so we are here in Codex, and basically what I will do is I will start a new chat and I will put it under this project, and then here I will just start with like, let's start with, I will put the image there for the front end, and I will ask him like, I will just take the path here and I will be like, actually, you know, to make it more organized, I will just create like a front end folder here, front end, front. Then I will create another one that is called backend. So we keep everything organized. So we move this to the backend, but we leave agents out. So you also kind of use this for the front end and for the backend. Yeah, that's fine. And then we can just copy the path for the front end and like, I'm creating a web app. So create a front end following the image style, attach, and just make it to be a Chatbox like ChatGPT. Like simple, and making React, and that's it. Just put it here. Put it here. Not tests for now, because I think, oh, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Let's see what it does. And basically what it will do is just it will create the front end here, right? Well, you see it's kind of trying to open this, but yeah, it's kind of like missing something. So that's why it's nothing, like nothing is showing here. Yeah, I mean, that works. It's kind of funny though, like literally replicated like most of it. Actually, it's pretty fun though, because it will be archived. Yo, you know what I'm thinking is like, just to make this video, like I don't want to like, you know, well, 3-4 hours coding this. I will just keep it like super straightforward, which will be only having the chat box, and then that's it, you know, like we only have the chat box, and and then whatever we input here, it will go there to the API, and that's it. Because what I'm thinking is like, what if, well, right now you can see it's testing, because, you know, like I think you could expand this and you could implement, for example, a new chat. You can implement also like having some history here, like ChatGPT and stuff. So, you know, every time that you create a new chat, it goes here and then it kind of like just saves. But I mean, you get the idea. What I want to give you here is like some direction, so you can just play with this, and if you want to keep building on this, you can just do it, right? Yeah, so let me just tell codex first for the backend, for the background, make it complete black. Then we want to just black here, actually gray. I like the gray. Remove the image and the words. Yeah, that's fine. Then same for the image in the background of the shot. We don't want this image either. And then we can also tell him like, you know what, remove all of this though. Like we don't want this. Remove what's in the image. And then we also don't want this. Alright. We don't want this. Oh God, wait. It's kind of like I have this. Okay, get it. Let me close this. Alright, so also this. I only want the chat box. And that's it. Clean. Keep it clean. Let's see. Because right now it's kind of like literally replicate everything. I don't want the new chat feature or anything. Just a chat box. But again, like if you want to like make this more like an app or whatever you want to use, feel free to do it. You could also implement like some settings, as you can see here, in case you want to edit models. Let's say you want to use ChatGPT here, you want to use Claude here, you know. But in this case, I will just explain it super simple so you understand. Let me go back to yeah, I mean that's enough, you know. I mean the gray is kind of like I kind of like the previous gray. Actually, put the previous background, but without the image, probably without the character and the words. I like the previous background. Now it's kind of too simple, but I mean this is still good. So this is enough. With this we can start. I don't know what this is. Okay, this is a... All right, so we have now the chat box, right? So now we need to create, okay, now this is what I meant. Now it looks good. So now what I'm thinking is like, okay, let's have, let me go back to my drawing here. So here we have what I mentioned. We will need to integrate two APIs here, API Outlook and the AI layer part. So what I'm thinking is like first we will create here in the backend an imp. So if you don't know what an imp is, basically this is like when you are moving code around, you don't share the API keys and stuff that might be like, you know, for security purposes. So this, because you can see here in git ignore, we have this part here, which is ignoring emp, or if you have it like this, it will ignore this. And the idea is that, like if you're pushing to GitHub or something, you don't want to be like, pushing your API keys there because that's like super bad. So I will just ask Codex to put the Outlook API there and the AI API there, all right? Keys. Let's start with this Outlook one because this is the more complex one, and this is like the core part of this video, all right? So the Outlook API. So this API, the way it works is that you gotta go to Center, it's called Center, something like that. Let me see. Yeah, it's called entra.microsoft.com, all right? So you gotta go there. And once you go to Entra, I mean, if it is the first time, like the very first time that you're doing this, most probably you don't have an account here, which is like the same thing, the same one that you use for Outlook. So just, just link it, create an account and put the same email. And then once you have that, you will land to this page. So here you will notice that we have a bunch of stuff here. So you need to go to app registrations, okay? So you go to app registrations, and then here you can create stuff. So you can see here that I was just testing some random stuff that I needed for some other automation. But basically what you do is that you go here to registration and then you give it a name. So I will input it's like what, YouTube video, all right? And then we have this option here, supporting account types. So this part is important, all right? So depending on the type of Outlook account that you have, you choose something here, all right? So if you have enterprise account, like a proper domain, like for example, Nicolas@automationprogress.com, and the domain is in this, like if it is a business account, you will select single tenant only, all right? But if you are using your personal account, like in this case, this is what you see that I have just at outlook.com account, which is like a personal account. You will choose personal account only, okay? Otherwise, it won't work. So just make sure you are doing this right. So in this case, I will select a personal account only, and then the redirect URI. So this part is important. This is when you're doing the authentication flow. At the end, it will give you a code, but this code needs to be shown somewhere. And basically what I tend to do is I always go to my website and I just put my website here. So you can see here, I will just make this bigger. So you can see here that I'm selecting a web. And what's that? My website. If you have a website, you can put your website, or you could also literally use my website as well. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just needs to be something in the web where you can redirect. And then once you have that, let me see that, yeah. So you go here to register. So it's creating the app. So once you create the app, there is a bunch of stuff here that you need. Like for example, you need this application ID, okay, all that stuff. But before we get into that, you need to do things here. So the first part is that you need to go to API permissions, all right? And here is when you will select the permissions that you want for this token. So you can see that by default we have, let me make this bigger so maybe it's easier. So you can see here that by default we have users read, which is just metadata for user. So you will click here and add permission, and then you select this one, Microsoft Graph, all right? And then here you can see that you have like literally a bunch of stuff that you can do with this API and with this token. Like you wanna, like if you wanna automate a lot of things. But again, like I will just explain how we can send emails, just to keep it like super simple. Again, like you be careful with this, because if you're like the more permissions you give, the more dangerous this token is. So you want to keep it like super, just to do whatever you are aiming to do, right? Like you don't want to be like adding stuff that you don't know. I mean, you can always ask Codex if you are wondering what the scope is for and everything. But like, for example, to send emails, it's, I think it's called Mail.Send something. Let me see. Send. Yeah, this one, Mail.Send. All right. So I only need this one. to send an email. You will select this other one, Mail.Send share, in case you're using a shared address. Like, you know, sometimes you could have like a distribution address in Outlook. In that case, you will use this one, but in this case, you use a random, it's like a simple personal account, nothing complicated there. So it's just like Mail.Send, all right? So I will add permissions there. And that's it, add permissions. And you will wait here a little bit, you see. And that's it, you know, you will see here that is in here, it's type delegated. I think I explained that. So once you select here, you select this one, the first one, delegated. Okay, so once you finish with that, we are good to go. So now you need to select the certificates and secrets. And you gotta create a client secret here. So you will click and create a client secret, and then I will just input same name here. And this is the expiration period. So this is actually pretty shitty though, because it's like, you know, you only have like, well, I mean, technically you have 2 years to like this token not to expire, but it's not like other APIs like, you know, like Google or something that you can like get a refresh token, and with that you can always call the API. In this case, if you do this automation and in 2 years it stops working, it's because of this, right? Because this token is expired, so you gotta do all this flow again. But okay, so you add this, and then this is what we need. We need the value, right? We don't need the ID, we only need the value. So now that we have these details, what I will ask Codex is like to organize all that stuff, right? For me. I don't wanna be doing this manually, so what I will do like, all right, so, okay, I don't know what this is. All right, so I have this cred for Outlook, put them in the imp. So this is the secret. I always tend to give him images as well, so he understands. And the overview, we will just literally screenshot this. And then the thing is like, this is only to get in the details, right? So we only create the app. Now we need to do this authentication flow. And I mean, it gets a little bit more technical because you gotta do like, you gotta call like some endpoints and stuff. And before Codex, you needed to do like Postman and all that stuff. But now with Codex, he creates everything for us. So just go here to, let me see, authentication preview. Just make sure again that you have this URL correct. So I will just ask him like, okay, create this authentication flow for me. So give me the link to authenticate for the authentication flow. So he will do like in the back, like this authentication flow, and he will share with me a link that I only need to click, and then that's it. That's pretty much it. Like I will be authenticated. So this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Let me see. And you can see here that he's actually, you see, you need to use some endpoints, like for example, in this case, it's consumers, blah, blah, blah. So it's pretty cool that you don't need to do this anymore. You know, back in the day, I used to do this like manually, and it was pretty crazy. So here you select the account, right? And it's telling you, okay, so you need to do this. You are giving these accesses to this app, accept. And you literally copy the link, the URL, and then you paste it again here. And that's important. You gotta do this quickly because this expires like in 1 minute or something. So it's pretty like, you need to do this quickly. And you can see here that the code is the part, like for example, this is the part here. This is the code. And after this, he will get a refresh token. And this is pretty sweet because with the refresh token, we can get, access tokens, and you know the difference between like if you're wondering like what is a refresh token, what is an access token. So basically the way some APIs work is that you have refresh tokens and you have access tokens. So you need the access tokens to call the API to get information and do stuff, right? But this access token expires like usually pretty quickly, right? So for some APIs it's like minutes, for some other APIs it's days. And we have refresh tokens, and a refresh token basically is like a token that we use to refresh this access token, so we kind of like keep it alive always. And the cool thing is like the refresh token doesn't tend to expire quickly, like usually sometimes it's permanent tokens, you know, they are valid forever. But in this case, for example, you notice that when we created the app, the client secret only had 2 years of validity. So in that case, the refresh token will only last for 2 years. But I mean, it's still is good enough, I guess. So if we go back, you can see here that I added the details. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need that. Just clean that. So we only leave what we really need, which is just sending emails for the API. Because right now I kind of like added everything though. Like for example, this, we don't need this. Like what is it? Like, but I mean, with that, we kind of like good to go, you know, like we already have this, so we're good to go. And actually, you know what I will do? I will ask him just to test. It's important that you kind of like test this step by step, so you're sure that the stuff is actually working. So what I will do is I will also ask him like, yo, just send me an email here. Yeah, just send me an email to this just to make sure that it's working. Let me see. Yeah, so you can see now it's pretty sweet. We only have what we need, which is the client ID, client secret. What is the endpoint that we're using, which is consumers. What is the scope? Well, that's only the scope that we selected, and this is the refresh token. So let's test it. Send an email here using the VPN. Let's see if it works. Okay, it says that it worked. So let's see. We'll refresh. But I don't see it. Is it in spam or something? Oh yeah, it's in spam. Well, it's not spam. All right, whatever. So you see here, it worked. So now that we have this, we're missing only one part, which is, let me put this here. So we already have the Outlook part is working, right? So that's good, check. Now we need the AI layer. So again, you could use in this AI layer whatever you want, like Claude, OpenAI, OpenRouter. What I will use is ChatGPT. I just want to use something different this time. So to use ChatGPT, you go to this platform here. All right, so you go to this platform. It's called platform.openai.com, and then here you can just, you know, select API keys, or if you want to go directly, you go to settings, organization / API keys. So once you log in, basically you go here to create a new key, and then you can just, you know, YouTube video again. So YouTube video, and then select a project. I mean, I will just put default, and then here you can select the permissions. In this case, I will just create all. And this is the API key, right? So we go here, and then we tell Coex add this API key for OpenAI to the end. And also test it to make sure it works. Again, like you want to test step by step just to make sure that it's working, nothing breaks, so we don't waste time at the end. Okay, so it's testing this and it says that it's working, so that's good to go. So let's see if okay, you can see here that it put the API key there. Cool. So now what we ask codecs is like, we already have everything, right? We have the API key of, we have the API keys for Outlook, for ChatGPT. So now, and we already have the front end. So, now we'll explain. Now let's connect the backend with the front end. So when I ask in the chat box to send an email to someone, it will work using the API. The idea is that I will input the address, like send an email. I'll just send an email here, XX, and it works. And then I'm just like, he already knows, because again, like I created this, like I already put these files here, so he knows that we will use Flask, for example, for the backend and stuff. If you are doing this without these files, you need to explain him, like, let's use Flask and stuff. So that's why I also put it this way, so we don't need to be, telling him everything. So you see there are some files there already for the backend, use them. So I will just put the and I will say, don't deploy yet. Test button. So right now he will test, he will create this, but what I'm thinking is like, because he will take a little bit of time doing this, so while he finishes, we need to set up Google Cloud, all right? So because we need to deploy to both the front end, we need to deploy both the front end and the back end at Google Cloud, right? All right, so I was saying we need to deploy the front end and the back end, right? So let's go to Google Cloud. And this is Google Cloud, this is for the backend. And then if we go to Firebase, you will see this is for the front end, all right? So I think it's better if we do it from the front end, like from Firebase, that now that, because you could also set it up here in Google Cloud, but I think it's just more like, it's not that user-friendly. So let's do that. So you go here to console, you can see here, go to console, and then we create a project. So you can start like the project here. So we put like YouTube video again, like that. But like something that is important here is that, it's testing this. Something I was saying, something that is important here is that actually do not test with computer use Playwright. I'm telling him this because right now he's using computer use, so that's why he kind of like using my own desktop for this, so my own Chrome. So it will be like kind of switching my tabs here. But like if I ask him like use Playwright, he will use it just in the background. All right, so we have this. Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, this is important because the name that you put here will be the name of the web app. Okay, so you want to put something here. I will just put YouTube video, but like, and you see this is how it will look. Actually, let me make this like that, so it looks better. But yeah, just be aware of that. So yeah, just be aware of this. So this is the name that we will have for our app. You could also change this in the future, in like later on if you want it with codecs. It's just that we can already do it here, so why not doing it correctly from the beginning? So you select this. We don't need any of this tracking stuff, so you can just create a project like that. So you say that it's working, sweet. I just want to understand how it's, okay, so it's working. So let's set up this so we can test it live. Because again, like this is not the other thing that I always do, which is like when the automation is kind of simple, I go straight to deploying this in the cloud and I test in the cloud. So I don't need to be testing locally and then testing in the cloud, and it kind of takes longer. But if you are doing like a complex automation, like maybe you have a lot of stuff, a lot of APIs and a lot of stuff, in that case, it would be better if you do it like if you start testing locally and then you move to a cloud, right? Because when the automation is complex, sometimes it might get a little bit, like too confusing testing everything in the cloud. But in this case, just two APIs, so it's fine. Right, so once we are here, what you need to do is that, well, technically you could deploy the front end from here. You see here that we have, let me see, hosting and services, and you will use hosting here. It's just that I will do it from the terminal, so it's faster. And you will see that it got created here. So if we go here to Google Cloud and refresh, you will see that the project got created, which is the same thing. So we have both. It's kind of synced. So we have the ID here for the project. So now we need to deploy this. So let's start with the backend, all right? So as I mentioned, we already have this deploy here. And I will use this bash script because it will clean my dockers and then it will delete my containers, whatever I have there, and then it will push to Google Cloud. In case you don't want to do this, just ask Codex, like, hey, push this to my account. But I want to do it from scratch so you can see how I will do it, like how it does. I just want to explain how I will do it from scratch because it might get confusing. So if it is the first time that you're doing this, you need to log in to cloud from your terminal. So because otherwise Codex cannot connect. So if you haven't done this before, you need to install this git cloud cli, right? Which is pretty much using Google Cloud from the command line. So if you don't know how to do it, just ask him, like, hey, install this. You ask Codex for it. I already have it, so that's fine. So once you have that, you go here and you create a new terminal, and we need to log in there. So in this case, I'm already logged in another account. So you can see here that I always have these commands. So you can just, refer to them if you need to. But in this case, I will use this one here, gcloud auth revolt, and that will take me out from my account like that. You can see here that it will just log me out because I was in the components one. So now I will need to log in. So I will click in login here and make sure that before you do this, you are pointing to the Chrome window where you have the account. In this case, I have it here, so it's fine. Otherwise, it will just kind of redirect to other account, and you don't want that. So you select the account. It's pretty straightforward. You select OK, allow, and then you are logged in. You see, you are authenticated now, so that's fine. So now we need to select the projects because right now with this we connected to Google account. Now we need to point the terminal to that project that we created. In this case, I only have one, so that's pretty straightforward, but I will just explain if I had a lot. So if you want to see how many projects you have, you click here, you use this command, Google Cloud Projects List. In this case, I only have one. And then you need to point Google Cloud. You need to point the terminal to that project. So what you do is you do this, you use the project ID and you point it there like that. This is the project ID and this is the the command. If you are wondering how do I get this project ID, I don't see it. You can see it here in Google Cloud. It's the same one, right? If you go to a main page, this is the same AID, and then that's it. You see, now it was updated. So now it should be able to point to that. It should be able to deploy to that account. So you can see here that I just have some placeholders here. So you need to change these two variables, project ID and image. Project ID is what is the project ID of Google Cloud. In this case, is this one. And what is the image ID? The image name. So this is just how you want it to be called in Docker and in Google Cloud. In this case, I will call it Outlook Automation Backend. And remember, you can see here that I added this comment, use only dashes, not underscores, otherwise it will throw you some random errors. So that's fine. So now you could ask Codex, hey, deploy this, or you could do it yourself. I will just do it myself. So I will open Docker here. And now I will deploy this. So bash deploy, actually let me get into backend RC bash deploy, and it will deploy this. So you can see here that I will start moving everything, allow. And the cool thing is, like, because it was testing this locally, you see that it created these requirements, which is needed to install all the dependencies here in Docker once it created the image. Something important is that you can see here in Docker that we're using Unicorn. So that's important. That's to connect to the ports. Sometimes what I've noticed, I mean, I've seen like recently Codex got smart enough so it doesn't miss it, but I remember before it used to miss this library here. So just make sure that this library is here, Unicorn. Otherwise, once you deploy, it will tell you like there is like an error with the port, and it's pretty vague, the error message, so you don't know. And I remember back in the day, I used to like debug that for days. And literally it's just that error, like you need to have like the library here so it works, you know, because right now Docker is asking for that library here. So just make sure that it's there. So right now it's saying that we need to enable this API in the project. So you open the API. Then this API is to deploy using the terminal. So you enable that. And you need to add some billing. So this part is important. Like you need to add a credit card here, a card just to billing, but it's free. You see, it's free. This part is free. It's just that it needs like a billing account. Okay, so don't get scared. It's not like you will get charged a lot. I usually have like a billing account for testing, but I've never been charged. But of course you want to be careful. You don't want to be like going crazy with this API, right? But like you just need to enable a billing. You need to enable billing. In this case, I already have like an account there that I tend to use for these tests. So I enable that, and then that's it. I think we're good to go. Let me see. You might ask for another API things like Google Cloud something. Let me see. Yeah, you see it's asking for more APIs. This one, Google Cloud Run. So you just, yes. I mean, I'm doing this manually, but you could just ask Codex to do it for you, and he will enable all of those APIs for you. I'm just doing it step by step here so you can see how it works, how it works, yeah, in the backend. Okay, so now it's deploying this, and voila, we have the endpoint. So if we open this and then we click health, we add the health part here. You can see here that the endpoint is working, so that's fine. So now we need to deploy the front end. So what you will do for the front end is basically you go here to the front end, and then you need to install something. So it's similar to Google Cloud CLI. In this case, it's called Firebase CLI, right? This one. So you can also, again, if you don't have it in your computer, you just ask codex, hey, install Firebase CLI. Once you have it, it will just be literally like you input this Firebase init. So we'll ask, what do you want to do with this API, with this, what do you want to do? So we will use hosting. Let me look out for a hosting, this one, app hosting now, this one hosting, the second one. So we need this hosting. So what you will do is like to select it, you press space and then enter, and then you can create a new project or use an existing one. We already have one. So again, enter here, go to hosting, this one, enter, select an existing project. And this is the only one that I have. You can see here that this is the only one that I have. So enter. And do you want to use your project? I mean, you can do whatever you want here because we will ask codex to do this for us. So you can just literally enter, doesn't matter. Well, this part no. Actually, no. My bad. Let's do it again. Because there is asking like if we want to connect GitHub, and we don't want that. So let's see. I mean, you can skip this part. Here you need to click no. All right, now you good. So now, so you see they will create like this Firebase JSON and all that stuff, but you don't need to worry about it. We can ask codex to do that for us. So now we'll ask him, right? So we'll do like this. So let me go back. I will just take the endpoint because we need to ask codex. We need to ask codex to use that endpoint because right now it's using localhost. You see, it's kind of using localhost. So we'll be like, okay, the backend deploy, use this, and now go to the front and deploy Firebase. You see it there already. And he will be deploying this. It's just that you want to do the setup for Firebase for the front end yourself, because sometimes he might get confusing. He might get confused with like how to do the front end and stuff, blah blah. So let's see. So you see he already found everything. You see he already found Firebase CLI and the project. So he literally needs, the only thing that he needs to do now is just deploy. Good, so it's saying that everything is deployed, so you can see here that this is the live link. That's sweet. So now we can actually test this though. So I'm actually excited. Let's see how can we test this? I mean, he was testing this, right? So let's, yeah, let's let's see. We could be like send an email like saying something funny, a joke to this email, and then we can use the same one that we're testing here. Nicolas, what's the email again? Nicolas, yeah, this one, Nicolas Mosso YouTube. Yeah, let's see if it works. And actually you can inspect if you go here to network. Well, right now we don't see it, but you should see, actually, I already did it, but you will see here actually that was pretty fast though. Let's see. Haha, look. So we got it, right? So, hey, Nicholas, why don't scientists drop science because they make up everything? Well, I mean, kind of like whatever. But like you see that it's working, and you see how it looks actually on phone. This is how it looks in a phone. It looks pretty sweet, don't you think? I mean, we did this pretty quickly, and again, like you could do this with like you can extend this, right? So right now it's just a simple chat, nothing crazy, and you can add more things, right? Like you could add all the features that ChatGPT has, like having a new chat and stuff like that. So right now the only thing that he can do is send emails, because that's the only permission that we did. But in case you wanted to, like, maybe you want to have an agent in your Outlook to do stuff like send emails, read stuff. Maybe you want to, I don't know, scrape data. You want to, I don't know, like that's the cool thing about coding, and now with AI, you can literally do whatever you want. The only thing that you need is like how to interact with these APIs that sometimes get confusing. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. So if you have any questions or whatever, like if you have any whatever questions or comments, just put them down below in the comments section. I will reply to them as soon as I see them. I will put this code in the description, in the link. Just go there, it's free. Click there, download the code. You can test it yourself. And for the people who are if you need help with like this type of automation, or you want me to like implement this for you, feel free to book a call down below in the comments. You will see in the first comment. The first comment is my website. Go there, book a call, and we can go through your project and see if I can help. Okay. So see you in the next one.